So today's a very exciting Sunday for me. Every single year, the very first Sunday I get to speak, I like to lay out a vision that I believe God has given me and given the session as a theme for the year. So many of you remember that 2 years ago we had the Year of Prayer, or YOP as some are calling it. And because of that, our church took prayer very seriously all year long, and we are still doing weekly and daily prayers online sent out to you thanks to Dr. Beth Frickberg. And you can get those by asking the church. And then last year we had the Year of the Neighborhood, or YAWN, as some people are calling it. Now, YAWN was not exactly what we thought it would be. We thought that we might do some great expansive outreaches in the neighborhood, but yet let's just take a moment to see what we did do this last year. We had an outdoor worship service. We delivered over 500 gift bags at Christmas to many of you. We had a church parking lot that was more full of families on bikes around the neighborhood than has ever happened in the history of the church. We put up epic Christmas decorations for the neighbors this Christmas. And let's face it, most of us spent a lot more time than we ever wanted to in our neighborhoods because we've been sheltering in place. So we've had YOP and we've had YAWN. And so now we want to share with you the theme for this year. And it is the year of stepping out. Now, what do we mean by stepping out? Well, a couple of things. The first is we want to step out as a church in evangelism and outreach in ways that we've never done before. We believe this is a huge opportunity with the pains that all of us are facing to really reach people where they are. We also want to step out in innovation and creativity this year. We have a very creative team, and a lot of what you've seen this last year is super innovative. We want to take innovation and creativity to the next step, and we want to include all of you in that. The next way we want to reach out is on race and justice issues. We have read many books that have been helpful for helping us to understand the racial and the economic inequities in our country. And now this year, let's do something to step out on those issues. And then, of course, there's the obvious. Sometime during this next year, we will be stepping out of our homes. Now, this last one will be the hardest in my mind. I mean, it won't be hard to actually step out of our houses. That is, unless you have actually been on your couch for the last 11 months. But I believe it will be really hard psychologically and spiritually to step out. Now, I want to begin with a very strong disclaimer. We do not want you to step out of your houses right now unless you have to for essential practices and activities. So unless you have to go to the store or go to work or come to worship, which I personally believe is an essential activity, do not step out of your house. This last week, we saw record numbers of fatalities and mortalities where for the entire week, over 4,000 people a day died of this COVID virus. Do not step out of your house until it's safe. But there will come a moment, and we don't know when it will be, but there will come a moment when we are told by smart medical professionals and authorities that it is safe or safer to step out. And so that's why today I want us to begin to visualize first what that stepping out is going to look like, even before we do. Many years ago, I had a meeting in Orlando, Florida, and I wanted to get out of the convention center, and I was tired of the meeting, and so I decided to visit the U.S. Olympic Diving Center in Orlando, Florida. When I got into this center, there are, of course, diving boards and platforms all throughout the room. And on the top of one of the highest diving boards was this individual who was standing up there and doing something like this, and then this, and then this. And then this individual stepped out to the edge of the diving board and performed one of the most beautiful dives I have ever beheld. And I found out right after it was none other than Greg Louganis, 4-time Olympic gold medalist. And I actually got to meet Greg that day, and he was extremely kind. But what I learned that day was that if you are going to step out into anything, and especially something that's difficult, it is so important to visualize exactly what that will look like before you do. So let's go into our text. Our text comes today from the New Testament, and it is one of the most beautiful stepping out stories that can be found in the whole Bible. It's the story of a man named Lazarus. In a loud voice, Jesus is shouting, "Lazarus, come out." And again, because our primary word phrase for the morning is step out, let's use it. Lazarus, step out. And then at that, John tells us that the dead man came out, his hands and his feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Again, a beautiful image of what Jesus looked like lying in his tomb before the Father resurrected Jesus from the dead. But here's the point I want us to think about next. Let's use this metaphor for the tomb, and let's think about those things that cling to us. Again, we're thinking a year or maybe half a year ahead of time about our lives when we step out. And the fact of the matter is that all of us are going to have some strips of linen clinging to us even after we step out.